I wanted to make a video about the Republican primary and how I think it's going to go. Who I think is going to win and who I think is going to drop out early. So first I'm just going to give you the list of candidates. Now, these don't include the ones who aren't in the debates, because I think at this point you can acknowledge that if you're not in the debates, you're not going to get the nomination. So this just includes the people who are in the debates. Mitt Romney, Rick Perry, Michelle Bachmann, Rick Santorum, Jon Huntsman, Newt Gingrich, Ron Paul, and Herman Cain. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and list the ones that I think have no chance of winning, the ones who should just drop out and give up anyway. So I'm going to start from the bottom here. Herman Cain. He has no chance of winning. And I'm going to tell you a few reasons why. Number one, he's never been elected to anything before. The only big thing he's been in government is he's been in the Federal Reserve in Kansas City, I think. And before that, he was CEO of Godfather's Pizza. So he has no chance of winning. And plus, even if he gets the nomination, he can never get elected because he wants to reduce income tax to a flat rate of 9%. And wants to have a national sales tax of 9%, wants to do his corporate tax of 9%. He calls it his 999 plan. And he doesn't know what he's talking about anyway, especially in foreign policy. So he can't win. He's off the list. Next one, Ron Paul. Do I even need to say anything? Ron Paul's going to be 78 or 70 something. He's way too crazy. He has his supporters, yeah. He could probably launch an independent candidacy where he could get, 0.1% of the vote on his own or something, but he's not going to win the nomination just because of his age. Just his age alone is going to prevent him from winning the nomination. Newt Gingrich is enormously unpopular. The Tea Party people don't like him because he's part of the establishment. Normal Americans don't like him. And I actually have a story about Newt Gingrich that I'm going to make in another video. And also, he's too old. He's almost 70 years old. So his age, he can't connect to people. He's a robot like the rest of them. So he can't get elected. And people don't like him. He's not personable, He's not that kind of people person, nor is he an intellectual. So he's not good. Jon Huntsman. Now this is the guy that, as a liberal and as a progressive, I actually think should get the nomination, because this is the direction the Republican Party should go back in. This is the guy who, as governor of Utah, supports cap and trade. He supports the stimulus package and thought it should be bigger. He supported health care reform, and he was willing to be Obama's ambassador to China. So I actually think he should get the nomination. Now, of course, that means he never will. He's too moderate for the Republican primary crowd. He's barely hanging on and getting any support. He'll never get the nomination. Now, I think he's a person to watch. I think maybe he might make another run in 2016 because he's still young enough to. But as far as this election goes, he has no chance of winning. Rick Santorum. He's the right kind of guy for the Republican crowd, but he still can't win. He is just not getting enough support. Let's just put it that way. And also, he's completely alienated the homosexuals. He made that horrible comment about man on dog sex is like not that far away from gay marriage. It's ridiculous, but so he just can't win because he's not getting enough support. Michelle Bachmann was high in the polls actually earlier, but now that people have seen what she's like, first of all, she's never going to win the general election, And I don't think she's going to win the primary either. She'll probably win here in Iowa, actually. That's what I'm thinking. I would like to predict that Michelle Bachmann will win the Iowa primary if she doesn't drop out before. That happens in January of next year. But she has no chance of winning at the national level, and she won't win in other states. So that leaves the two candidates who I think are the only ones who have a chance of winning. Number one, Rick Perry. Now, he's emerged, and apparently he's already made very bad performances. That depends on what you think of it. I think they were bad performances. I think he's acting so much like George W. Bush. It's ridiculous. But nevertheless, we shouldn't count that out because George W. Bush could get the nomination, so we shouldn't count that out. And Mitt Romney, who's considered the front runner. Now, between these two candidates, I think it could turn out to be sort of like a Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama primary duel to the death thing. That I think, as a person who supports liberals and progressives, I think that would be good because that weakens the Republican Party. But out of those two, who do I think is going to win? I predict, and this is my official prediction, I predict that Mitt Romney will be the 2012 Republican nominee. And here's why. Because Rick Perry has simply too many enemies, isn't good performing in the debates, and is hated by the Bush family and Karl Rove. Now, why is that important? Because they're very influential in the Republican Party. I think if you made a big enemy out of Karl Rove, it would be hard to win the nomination. And I also think, because this is kind of the way that the Republican Party has worked for a long time, you have to run multiple times and then you eventually get your turn. For example, like Bob Dole ran in 1980, ran in 1988, finally got the nomination in 1986. Same thing with John McCain. John McCain ran in 2000, didn't get it, waited till 2008, and got it. I can also point to Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan first ran in 1968, then ran in 1967, and finally got in 1980. This is kind of the way the Republican Party has worked for a long time with their presidential candidates. You have to kind of be out there in the zeitgeist for a long time until you finally are worthy of being their nominee. Now, Mitt Romney he's not too old. He's going to be 65, but he's also not too young, because the Republican Party never really nominates young people for the presidency. And also, another reason I think Mitt Romney is going to be the nominee is because he has money. Now, not only is he good at doing fundraisers and because he has a lot of rich friends, but also because he's personally wealthy himself. He's like a multi $800 million guy. Excuse me. So he did this in 2008 too. He drew up a lot of his own money to fund the campaign. So if he really needs to, he can do that. So I think that he has the money. He has the long time spent in the Republican Party trying to get the nomination. And he came in second in 2008. That's the other big thing. He was second in the running next to John McCain. So with John McCain gone now, I think the Republican Party will nominate Mitt Romney for 2012. That is my prediction, and we'll see how it goes. One thing I'd like to point out, two of the Republican candidates who aren't getting any attention, who aren't in the debates, are actually ones that I respect more than any of the other people, and those are Buddy Roemer, who's spoken very favorably for campaign finance, and says he's only going to accept donations of more than $100 or less from individuals. I like that. His other positions are kind of similar to the rest of the Republican Party, but if you can get past if you can agree with him on campaign finance, so that the entire party isn't corrupted, I think the other issues are much easier to deal with. The other one is the former governor of Mexico, Gary Johnson, who was in favor of legalizing marijuana and ending the war in Afghanistan. I like those two positions. He's still not very progressive on the rest of them, but at least on those issues, he and progressives agree. Of course, then they're not getting any attention at all because they're too progressive, they're too populist or centrist. So again, I think Rick Perry will be the 2012 Republican nominee. Please like and rate this video and comment on it and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.